And we actually didn't want to apply that to the home button, obviously, so I'm just going to reselect that and put our gray shader back on. Okay, we might as well take care of the texture on this one while we're at it. So let's grab the home button there, and we still have the unwrap on, so we'll open up the unwrap editor, or UV editor here. Okay, we have our UVs laid out, so we'll go up to tools again, run UV template, and we'll just do like a 1024 on this. Okay, we'll render that out, and let's save it as a JPEG. Back in our maps folder, and we'll just call this home button guide, and save that out. Okay, let's close this stuff up. Let's just jump into Photoshop here. Double click and open up our home button guide. Okay, and the same thing here, alt click, double click on that to unlock it, create another layer for the background, drag it underneath, make that black, and let's make it, let's do full black on this one. Okay, and for the actual logo, we're just going to use an actual shape here in Photoshop. Okay, so what I'm going to do is switch my color here to white, go into the shapes, custom shapes, and up at the top here, you can load up the custom shapes that come with Photoshop, and if you can't see them all, you can just go in here and hit all. Okay, now load them all in. What we want to do is find the rounded rectangle, which is right here. Okay, so we're going to select that, and with our color set to white, we're just going to drag this out right over our UVs here, and let's create a new layer first, and we want to put that in between the other two. Okay, we're going to probably take a little bit of tweaking to get the size right, but we'll just draw it out, say from about here, and if you hold shift, it'll snap it to a square. Okay, that's going to be a little too big, so let's do maybe something like that. Okay, we also need to obviously set this to screen so we can see it. Okay, I'm just going to line this up quickly in the center. It's obviously too thick right now, but let's view actual pixels here. And we'll just kind of line it up in the center. I'm just going to draw a rule here from the side, and we'll line it up with the center edge. Okay, in our guide. And let's also do one this way with the center edge right there. Okay, and that one's a little off, so I'm just going to move that over like that. And then with our shape layer selected, we're hit Control T. Okay, we're just going to line up the center marks here with both of those rulers, so we know it's right in the center. Okay, I think that's going to be a little small, but we'll test it. So let's turn off our guide layer, so we have our texture, and let's just save this out quick. All right, we'll save it into our maps folder as home button diffuse as a PSD, and then we'll jump back into Max here, grab a new shader, make it a V-Ray material, call it home button, and we'll just load up our texture there into the diffuse slot as a bitmap. Okay, so hit add to collapse all the layers, and we'll assign that to our button here. Let's just actually collapse this down to editable poly first. Let's put a turbo smooth on, and we'll just do one iteration and isoline display. Okay, and we'll assign our texture and show in the viewport. Okay, it's going to be a little hard to see, so I'm just going to hit P to go into perspective, and then I'm going to hit, whoops, let's close this first. Let's hit P, and then we'll hit Z to zoom in on it. Okay, I just want to see how big that is overall. Okay, I'm just trying to compare it to my actual phone here, so just give me a second. I think we're relatively close in size. We have it a little too thick, so we're going to need to trim that down a bit in Photoshop. Okay, so we'll just go back to Photoshop here. And let's maybe scale it up just slightly. So I'm going to do Control T again. I'm just going to scale it on the corner, holding Shift just a bit. Something like that. And then we'll just line up that center crosshair with those two rulers. Hit Enter. Okay, and to cut the inside out a little thinner, let's make a new layer. Switch our color to black. And with the rounded rectangle again, we're just going to drag this out over top. So we can cut this down a bit in size. Okay, I'm just going to hold down Shift again so it's square. Let's do maybe something like that. And we'll just position that in the center. Like so. maybe just up a little bit, and hit enter. Okay, now I'll cut that outer border down and make it a little thinner and a little evener. Okay, so we'll just save right over this texture, jump back into Max, and that'll automatically update for you. Okay, and I think that's pretty good. If you want to, you could actually probably find that icon online and use that, but I think that's good enough for the tutorial. Okay, so now we're going to need to maybe just tweak out the shader a little bit. I'm just going to go back to my V-Ray camera here. And let's go back in here. We'll open up our T renderer again. Okay, and yeah, that looks pretty close in size. I think we'll just go with that for now. So let's hit M, open up the material editor, and we'll just tweak the material here. So let's go up a level. Okay, and let's see, let's give it a little bit of reflection. Let's go blow this up. Put our background on. We'll take it down a little bit on the reflection. We don't want it to be too reflective. Let's do maybe like 20. Okay, you can see we're getting a bit of a highlight there from the HDRI. Let's also maybe dumb those reflections down just a bit. We don't want them to be so crisp. Okay, so let's take this down to maybe like 0.95. Okay, that'll dull them out a bit. And we'll crank up our samples a bit more. Let's do like 64 again. Okay, and I think that looks fairly good. Okay, so I think we'll go with something like that for now. And we can always tweak it out later if we want to. Okay, so let's close this up. Close that up. And we still have a few more materials to make. We have to do one for the USB board and pins. And we also need the back texture, obviously, which we'll do in a minute. But let's take care maybe of the USB board right now. Okay, so we'll grab another slot. Let's name it, let's pick V-Ray material first. And let's call it USB board. Okay, we're just going to make a pretty simple material for this. Most of it's tucked in the inside, you're not even really going to see it, so this one isn't that important. Okay, and we'll just make maybe like a green color for it. Maybe like a darker green color. Let's go way down here. Let's just tweak this maybe a little bit. Let's bring that down a little bit more dark. Maybe something like that. And we'll give it a little bit of reflection here. It doesn't have to be a lot. Maybe like 5 or so on RGB is enough. And we'll dumb down the reflections quite a bit here. Let's do like 0.55, maybe 0.6, maybe 0.7, maybe a little less. Let's do 0.65. Okay, and even though this is on the inside, I'm going to crank up the samples just a little bit more. We'll do like 64 again. And although simple, I think that'll probably be good enough for what we need it for here. So let's hit H. We'll go down and find our USB board. Okay, and let's assign that to it. And you're not really going to see it here in the viewport too much, but it's on there. So let's hit P here. And I'm just going to zoom in on this by hitting P and Z. Okay, we'll just take a look at what we have inside here. Okay, so for those pins, we're just going to do like a simple, similar material of a gold color here. So let's just do that quick. Grab another slot here in the material editor, another V-Ray material. Let's call this USB pins. And we'll blow it up, turn on the background, and let's pick a gold color for this. Okay, so we want a somewhat darker color here. To take it over almost into those reds. That might be a little too orange. Let's back it off a little bit. Let's maybe go down like that. Maybe give it a little bit more yellow. And yeah, that's probably good. We'll just go with something like this, 109, 50, and 0 on the RGB if you want to match it. Okay, and again, we'll give it a little bit of reflection. We don't need a lot on this one as well. Something like that should be fine. And again, I'm not worrying too much about these ones. Let's dumb down the reflections again. Let's do about 0.65. We'll see how that looks. Maybe up a bit, just to tighten those highlights up a little bit more. And we'll do around 0.8 or something. Let's crank these up a little bit more. Let's do 64 again. And let's slightly adjust the highlight glossiness as well. So I'm going to unlock that, and we'll take this down a bit. Maybe something like that should be fine. And let's also make sure that we switch it from blend to word, because we're dealing with metal here. Okay. And let's take that maybe up just slightly. Okay, I don't want to take too much time on these materials, so we'll go with something like that. And you can tweak that out a little farther if you want, but we'll just assign this one to the pins. So let's grab the pins there and assign it. Okay, so that'll take care of those. I believe we have all the materials on the outside done. Okay, so let's go around the top here and just make sure that we didn't miss anything. We still have to do the back, obviously. Okay, so I think we pretty much got all the materials here. Okay, so now let's maybe just go back to our V-Ray camera here, and we'll start working on the back of this. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is select our group, which is this pink frame around the model. Okay, we can just go up here to group and close. Okay, now regroup it for us. And obviously to see the back, we're going to need to make a copy of this. So let's just go into the front view. Just going to go to the move tool. I'm going to hold down shift, and I'm going to clone the phone up on the Y as a copy. And we'll just give it a spin here in the top view. Okay, so let's turn on angle snaps, and we'll just rotate it 180 degrees. Like so, and let's flip it around maybe this way. And we're just going to move it over to the side here so that we can work on the top of it. Let's just actually straighten it out. Okay, and we'll also just push this down so we have it in our shot. Okay, so we want to line that up just above the ground there again. Okay, and in our camera view here, let's grab both phones. Just going to slide them a little bit over to the side for now so we can see them both at the same time. Let's bring this one in a little closer. And I'm just going to back off our camera slightly. Okay, we'll just kind of position them in the center for now. We're going to tweak out the position later on, but we want to start working on this back, the back elements of the phone here. Okay, so let's hide this one. And for this guy, we're going to open the group. Okay, so we can get these pieces, and let's just go into perspective with P, and let's hide the back glass. Okay, we're just going to select the actual back of the phone here, and we need to render out a UV template for this one, so let's go back into the unwrap window. Okay, we'll go back to tools, render UV template. Let's do another 2K, so 2048 by 2048. Uncheck seam edges and render it out. Send that out, save that out as our back guide. Another JPEG. Okay, and let's just close this up quick. Okay, and back into Photoshop here. Let's close this for now. Double click again, and we'll open up the back guide. Okay, and I also have some elements in the folder that will be available with the tutorial that you can download, and we can open these up here. And these are just a few of the pieces we're going to put on the back of the phone. I also have a reference image in here of the actual phone. Okay, so we're going to need the Apple logo here as well as the text, and I'm not going to do this text here at the bottom, these symbols. I'm going to replace that with the CG Tuts logo. Okay, but we will do the text. Alright, so let's close that up. Go back in, we'll open up this Apple Illustrator file, which is the logo. And let's also open up the CG Tuts logo here. Say OK to that. Okay, so here's our Apple logo, and obviously we want it to be white on the phone, so we're just going to need to do a brightness contrast on this. or levels, but I'm just going to use brightness and contrast. So we'll just take up the brightness until it's white. Okay, and then we'll do Control A, Control C, go back to our guide layer. Let's make a new layer and paste that in. Okay, we'll also unlock the background. Let's double click and rename it guide. Put that above the Apple logo. Let's set it to screen. Okay, and then we want to make another layer at the back that's black again. Okay, so we have our logo here in the center, and we can just move that around. We're going to need to scale it down quite a bit. Okay, let me just view this at full size for a sec. Okay, we want to make sure that, you know, we get this somewhat straight on the back here. We don't want to have it off to the side, and we don't actually have a center edge on our wireframe to line it up with, so we're going to need to just maybe do something to make sure that it's centered. But for right now, let's turn our guide opacity down. Okay, just to so we can still see it, but it's not so intense. Okay, and we'll go back to our Apple logo here, and let's just scale it down a bit. Okay, I'm just going to look at my phone here on my desk to see exactly how big this is. Okay, and it's pretty small. All right, let me just view this at actual size for a sec, or fit on screen, sorry, so we can see it. Okay, we'll scale it down a little bit more. Okay, and judging by my phone, it looks like it's roughly that size maybe. Okay, so I'm just going to drop it right there by hitting enter, and we'll line it up in a second. We also need to include that text that's down at the bottom here. Okay, so let's switch our color here to white. Okay, and with the text tool, we're just going to go up to window, down to character, open it up. Okay, and the closest match I could get for the font was Trebuchet MS. Okay, so I'm just going to click here with our color set to white, and let me turn up the size. Let's type iPhone. Okay, and we'll need to figure out exactly how big we want this to be. Let's take it up a bit. Let's do maybe 55. Okay, I think that looks close to what we want. Okay, so we're just going to line up here for now. And if we open up our reference image of the phone here, you can see we have a bunch of text down here at the bottom. This text here, which I've actually already copied out into Notepad, so I'm just going to grab that off of my other monitor here. Okay, and then we'll go back to our texture. Let's go back to the text tool and create another text layer here. Let's take the size way down. Let's do maybe like 14, and I'm just going to paste this. Okay, let's view it back at actual pixels, and that's a little small, so let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and okay, I lied, that's actually way too big, so let's take it down to maybe 12. And I'm just trying to compare it to my phone. Okay, I think 12 might work for that one, so I'm just going to grab the rest of the text here, which is the second line. Okay, and we'll do another text layer here. So click underneath there, and we'll just paste this in. Same font, same size. Okay, we're just going to line it up kind of like that for now. Okay, and then we're going to go over and grab our CG Tuts logo, and this is just the black and white version that I created. So let's go to the magic wand tool here, and we're just going to hold down Shift and select each of the letters, as well as the plus symbol and the border. And then we're going to do Control C, go back to our texture and paste. Okay, it's going to be quite large right now, so we're going to need to scale it down. Let's bring it down here first and hit Control T, and we'll scale it way down using the corner. Okay, I think I'll do, you know, roughly the same width as the iPhone writing, maybe slightly bigger, maybe something like that. Okay, so let's hit enter and we'll name some of these pieces. So let's call this one CG Tuts. And you obviously don't need to stick this on your own phone model if you don't want to. I'm just going to do it for the tutorial. And this is our Apple logo. Okay. And let me just shrink this stuff up so we can see these layers. Okay, so the next thing to do is just to get everything lined up and straight on the back of the phone here.